Okay, thank you. Well, I'm going to start off with just a little bit of a quick update and review, because people always, I mean, really the only reason people want to hear from me is to hear a little bit about Wikipedia. So I started all these years ago, 13 years ago now, with this dream for us to all imagine a world in which every single person on the planet is given free access to the sum of all human knowledge. And we've moved quite a long way towards those goals in the last years. We've got over 30 million articles in Wikipedia now, across 285 different languages. Of course, the work in Wikipedia is not distributed evenly around the world. 8 languages with over 1 million, including English, German, French, and so on. 46 with 100,000, 120 with at least 10,000, and 223 languages now have over 1,000 articles. So it's a very large, very active community. We're seeing some really exciting growth in some of the countries of the developing world for a lot of reasons, including, as I'm going to talk about in a minute, that they're coming online in a really big way. We have now 532 million unique visitors every month to Wikipedia. I mean, that's just an astonishing figure. After Wikipedia, then I started Wikia. Wikia is the for-profit wiki community company. We have this idea to go beyond just the encyclopedia into every other kind of book or work that people might want to do. It's become really a social universe for fans. It's not necessarily just for fan communities. We've got a really great community about plagiarism that here in Germany, so far, 8 politicians have had to resign because the community has found plagiarism in their dissertations, which is quite amazing. So people ask me, do you think this will happen in the US? And I say, well, in the US, there's no such thing as a politician with a PhD, so it's just not going to happen. Not even educated one. But mostly what Wikia is fan communities. So things, the Mad Men Wiki and Lostpedia and all those kinds of communities. And it's also become very, very successful. We're now ranked number 25 according to Quantcast. We have about 107 million people using the site every month. It just continues to grow. So when I talk about imagine a world in which so that's the update bit, every single person on the planet, I want you to focus for a moment on the every single person part. So for us, this means that Wikipedia is inherently global, which means that we want to be in the developing world in a major way. And one of the things we know about the people in the developing world is that they are coming online in a big way, and for the first time, most people will see the internet is on a mobile device. And so you're talking about mobile and Africa, and people say, ooh, I know, I read about this. Subsistence farmers can text across town to find out the best price for their crops, and they can earn a little bit more money that way and cut out the middleman. And this guy smiled at me, and I recognized him. And I was like, who is that guy? It's Jeff Pulver. He's half the man I used to know. Amazing. It is amazing. I'm so inspired. I'm actually on a diet, and every morning I get up and I think about Jeff Pulver because he's done so well. Anyway, I'm so sorry about that. That's not really what we're here for. I love this. This is like a family reunion conference, though. That's one of the things I love about DLD. So anyway, I know about this. But when you think about that, that's true enough, but it really clouds your mind. People who think about mobile in that context in Africa are really missing what's going on. Here's what people don't know. This is my phone. I have it here. I use the phone every day in London. It is a Huawei Ideos phone. A friend of mine bought it for me, unlocked, 3G, Android phone. It's got all the apps and everything. Bought it for $85, but that's a while back now. Now you can find them for $50 in Kenya, and they've sold hundreds of thousands of these phones in Kenya. Real smartphones for a very low price. Let's look at the internet usage in Africa in a different way. Let's look at one country, Nigeria, and talk about how many people are online. In 2000, 0.1% were online. By 2006, 3.1%. By 2009, 16%. 2011, 29. I expect by the end of this year, this number is going to be about 40%. So the big boom in the internet that we all had 15 years ago is now happening in Africa. And I think even for people in our industry, it's coming faster than we expected. People who are very optimistic thought, oh yeah, in another 10 years it's going to be interesting. No, it's another 2 years it's going to be really interesting. Just to look at bandwidth, in January of 2002, the entire bandwidth for the country of Nigeria was 72 megabits per second. At home in Florida, I have Verizon Fios. I have 150 megabits, which I highly recommend, by the way. It's awesome. But at home, I have double the bandwidth in my one home than the entire country of Nigeria had back then. So clearly, they were going to be slow adopting the internet because it was basically not functional for them. But as you can see, new cables are being dropped. The bandwidth is skyrocketing there. So a friend of mine, this is a fun slide. I was in Lagos, Nigeria, and I did a broadband speed test, and I got 9.33. And my friend who was sitting in Manhattan got 8.38, which may be a commentary more about the state of the internet in Manhattan. But when I tweeted this, some locals there in Nigeria were very upset. They're like, no, it's fake. The government's tricking you. No, it was real. But the truth is, I was in the 5-star hotel, the conference hotel. They had a good internet connection. So when I say that this kind of bandwidth is available there, I don't mean it's out to everybody yet. But it's coming. It's to the country, and it's expanding very quickly. So one of the things that we're doing at the Wikimedia Foundation is we've got a project called Wikipedia Zero. And the basic idea here is to give people access to Wikipedia. So we negotiate with the carriers to say, give people access to Wikipedia with no data charges. And this has been very successful for us. We've gotten, right now, there's 500 million people theoretically have access in this way. That number is a bit too optimistic. That number is the number of customers of mobile providers who we've inked deals with. So many of those customers are still on very basic phones, feature phones. They're not there yet. But at least in terms of the pipes, there's 500 million people who could be accessing Wikipedia at no charge. And it's growing. And it turns out this works really well. It's a win-win. It makes good business sense for the carriers because they want to sell smartphones. They want to get people moving to the next level. And the customers are a little reluctant of how much the data is going to cost. They can go to them and say, look, you can get Wikipedia for free if you upgrade to this phone. And it helps them move their business forward. So our next step is to focus on usage. Usage is really starting to take off, as you can imagine. Some of the early implementations were on zero.wikipedia.org, which nobody knows the URL, and they don't find it, so people weren't using it. And now it's more, our new deals are all just on the mobile site. You just go on the mobile site, and it's free. So one of the things that's driving this is demand from consumers. And something really remarkable happened as we were rolling out these deals. A group of school kids, who you're going to meet in the video in a moment, they saw news reports and they wanted this for themselves. And I'll let them tell their own story here. So are we ready to roll the video? We got the sound up? I hope so.
Hi, this is a letter which me and my classmate wrote to access to Wikipedia for free. It goes as follows.
Open letter to Cell C, MTN, Vodacom, and ATA.
We are learners in grade 12 at Sinenjong High School, Joslovo Park, Milnerton, Cape Town.
We recently heard that in some other African countries like Kenya and Uganda,
Cell phone providers are offering their customers free access to Wikipedia. We think this is a wonderful idea and would really like to encourage you also to make the same offer here in South Africa.
Our school does not have a library. 90% of us have cell phones, but it is expensive for us to buy airtime.
So if we could get free access to Wikipedia,
it will make a huge difference to us.
Normally, when we do research, Wikipedia is one of the best sites.
And there is information on just about every topic.
Think of the boost that it will give us as students and to the whole education system of South Africa.
Our education system needs help, and having access to Wikipedia would make a very positive difference. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
And goes. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's great. I've seen that a few times.
Something is video. You got something.
In the office, they actually had trouble. Every time they showed it, people would break down weeping and couldn't get any work done for an hour. So anyway, now let me tell you about my next big thing. This is what I'm here to announce. This all is lead-in. The things that I'm really passionate about are the power of online communities coming together to achieve a purpose. This is something that we've done an amazing amount of work with and had some really big successes. And I'm really excited about the potential of mobile and the things that are going on in mobile. And so I've decided that what I really want to do is I want to give $1 billion to good causes. But as you may have read in the New York Times, Jimmy Wales is not an internet billionaire. So I don't have $1 billion to give to good causes. But this doesn't stop me, because Jimmy Wales can't write an encyclopedia either. I didn't write the encyclopedia, and I don't have $1 billion, but I can help people, and I think I know a way that we can do it. So I'm here to announce I'm joining as co-chair for a new business. It's existing, it's growing. I'm joining the company as the chair, and it's called the People's Operator as the co-chair. And the basic concept of the company is that on your mobile bill, 10% of the revenue, 10% of your bill goes directly to a cause of your choice, straight off the top. And so, you think, how does that work? Or what would that mean in practice? What does that really mean? And so let me just break it down. And I've just got some numbers here to give you an indication of the magnitude of what this could mean. There's like 3.5 billion subscribers worldwide. And that's set to grow dramatically, so that's a conservative number. The monthly average revenue per user is $13. That's very low, because this is an average worldwide. We'll see in a minute some more realistic numbers in just the wealthier countries. If we had a 2% market share worldwide, that would be $1 billion a year to charities and to great causes. If we get 1% market share, it would take 2 years to get to my $1 billion. So, not quite as good, but if it's $1 billion a year or $500 million a year, I'm still pretty happy. Another way to look at it, so never mind the numbers about sort of the global numbers, but really just to look at how powerful 10% is. In the US, the typical average revenue per user is about $51. So 1 million customers means 61 million a year to causes. And at that rate, it would take 16 years to hit my $1 billion dream. Well, Wikipedia took 13 years to get where it is, so I'm patient. If it takes me 16 years, that's okay. But, channeling Steve Jobs, but there's one more thing. We're going to give 25% of the profits of the company to charity as well, and that's being structured. In the UK, it's structured with our foundation. Independent foundation owns 25% of the company, so that's the kicker on top. So, well, how does that really work, though? How can you afford to give that much money to charity? Well, the important thing for us is this can't be a premium offering. It can't cost people extra money. You can't go to people and say, yes, it's going to give 10% to charity because we're adding 10% on your bill. So in the UK, right now, we've got the best unlimited deal on the market. And the money has to come from the promotional and marketing spend. It has to be incredibly low. We won't be able to afford to do massive ad campaigns, to do billboards, to do all the flyers you get in the mail. All of that stuff is not affordable because our marketing is to donate the money to causes and to have passionate consumers spreading the word virally. It has to spread through the community. We have to get lots of people talking about it, and a lot of people signing up, and that's something I know a thing or two about, so I think I can help the company do that. I think we can get to a point where people are signing up, and they're signing their friends up, and they're signing other people up. So we're currently up and running in the UK. The company exists. You can change your service in the UK today. It's a very unique proposition. There's nobody else doing quite the same thing. There's one company in the US that gives 1%, which is pretty lame, and so we're going to blow them away by a factor of 10. And we're expanding globally. This is the other thing that I'm helping the company with, is we're looking for MVNO deals in different places around the world, different partners. We're going to be looking for investors to help us ramp this company up and go really big. And so what we have here is an established business that has a huge viral potential, and it's something that I'm very excited about. And, well, thank you for your time. Great.
So
That was quicker than you predicted, so congrats on that. So what is the connection? Is there a connection directly to Wikipedia Zero, or is this just a parallel development that could help it?
A parallel development. I mean, the point of discussing Wikipedia Zero is it's just something I like to talk about these days, but also to sort of help people understand where I'm coming from and what I'm thinking about these days. I've been really putting a lot of thought into how mobile is transforming our world and what are all the potentials around that. And one of the potentials is, if you just look at the size of the industry, it's enormous. If you look at the amount of money that's sloshing around in marketing budgets, and you think, gosh, wouldn't it be better for the world if that money in the marketing budgets could be channeled in a different way? And we live in an era where word-of-mouth marketing is more powerful than ever before. You know, in the old days, if you love something, or you hate something, you probably tell 5 people. Now you probably post on Facebook, you know, and you tell 200 people, and you tell 200 people with a link so they can actually go and sign up right then. So I think it's the right time for something like this.
This is a company that already existed and already had this business model.
Yeah.
But clearly they needed more visibility in part, which you will certainly provide. So you're joining a company that has pre-baked this proposition, and you're going to really try to take it to the next level.
Exactly. So in 2 ways. One, you know, I want to help them go global. So, you know, for startups, one of the hardest things is just to get a meeting, a strategic meeting with a high-level enough person, not just sort of at carriers, but also at charities. I mean, one of the things we would love to see is some major charities ask their members to sign up, to say, would you please sign up for this to help provide ongoing revenue? So I want to help them build those kind of partnerships. And also, I know about the internet, so consumer internet help.
It is a tiny bit counterintuitive to think that you can give all this money away and also have a sufficiently low-priced proposition in countries like Nigeria that you can really become a major player in the market. Just talk a little more about that.
Well, I mean, it's interesting. One of the things we don't know, you know, if we look at the Western Europe and the US, the numbers really work because there are huge marketing budgets out there. I would like to see us move into Southeast Asia and the smaller markets and the African markets, but it's not clear to me. You know, certainly these kids who are sort of asking for free Wikipedia access because airtime is very expensive. You don't expect to raise much money from them. On the other hand, they would probably like it if 10% of their bill went to some local cause that they care about. So we want to support that if possible. But the real money, of course, is always going to be in the wealthy countries.
Well, if you do it you're going to launch this in the U.S., presumably, in the not-distant future,
right? Yeah.
If you did succeed at scale in the U.S. or Western Europe, why wouldn't you consider using the philanthropic proportion of that to subsidize deployment in the developing world?
Absolutely, absolutely. So one of the concepts we have is that one of the causes you could support would be kind of like I mean, one of my favorite companies these days is Tom's Shoes. And this is the company where you buy a pair of shoes and they give a pair of shoes in the developing world. I love the same concept for mobile. How about when I buy a new phone, maybe I buy my Samsung S4, and instead of saying, yeah, dear phone company, I want you to subsidize my purchase of phone, I'll say, you know what, I'll buy my own phone.
Show a few more videos like
take
that,
my subsidy,
and you can get people to go for that.
Take my subsidy and give a phone to these kids,
Good.
you know. We love that idea.
Okay, let's get some questions from the audience. We've got time for 2 or 3. Okay.
Is the 10% added? Hi, is the 10% added to the bill or subtracted from the provider?
Subtracted from, so
why would they want to give away 10% revenue?
Who's they? The company? Well, it's our value proposition. It's what we're using to appeal to you as a customer. We're saying, if you sign up with us, we'll give 10% of our revenue straight to a cause of your choice. What that means is we can't afford TV ads, right? But would you rather us buy TV ads, or would you rather us give the money to a cause you support? And why don't you tell your friends about it? That's kind of the proposition. Yeah?
Yes, sir.
So the problem in many cases is really at the other end. It's not the money. It's spending the money wisely, and not having the gifts fall off the truck. Can you talk more about measuring or monitoring the impact of the money you invest/spend?
Well, certainly. So for the 10%, the users can choose their own causes. And so it's just like charitable giving of all kinds. People vet charities, they like them or they don't, and all the problems that are out there. We're not going to solve the problems of incentives in charities. That is a bigger problem.
Why not? If you want to
Why not? Well, I would love to solve the problems of incentives and charities and get rid of all the useless NGOs in the world, but that'll have to be my next big thing. I don't know how to do that, except that I do think giving consumers ways to quickly pick and choose and basically move the money to where they think it's effective is very powerful. For our own foundation, we're bringing in, it's an independent board. We're bringing in sort of the best people we can get to help guide that process. You know, there are people who I admire in this space. One of the main ones is Bill Gates and the Gates Foundation, just because they're so ruthless about making sure about metrics and impact. And they do a pretty good job. So
we have time for one more. Does anybody have a probing, intense question? Okay.
Can you tell a little bit about the company that already operates the system?
How big is it? Tell us quickly
companies?
about the People's Operator today.
Yeah, so the People's Operator launched in November of 2012, and last year they spent the whole year doing very small-scale marketing tests with some of the early partners. So they've got a lot of charities and organizations signed up. But you know, it's one of these things when you've got, you know, you have access to 3 million people on a mailing list. You don't want to blast them with no experience whatsoever and sort of ruin the mailing list by sending out a bad marketing piece. So they've been very careful about doing A/B testing on subsets of that, and now they're really ready to go big. It's a very small team. It's your typical Shoreditch, London startup in a warehouse. It's a cool, like, cheap office space, that kind of thing.
And the CEO is here, and what is his name?
CEO's here. Mark Epstein, he's there.
Got his hand up over there.
Yeah, hand up over there.
And we've got
zero. Actually, so to talk a little bit more about the company, one of the things that was interesting to me when I went to meet these guys, and you know, I was learning about it. I met the current chair socially, friends of friends, and you know, I talked to him slowly at first, and then more and more over time, and learned more and more about the business. And what was really interesting to me is, like, these guys are really good at mobile. They're doing stuff I don't know anything about or know how to do myself, and yet there's skills that I have and connections I have that they don't have. So I saw, not only was it sort of an idea I love, it was also like, oh, I see exactly where I fit in this team because they're handling all of that, and I can help. I know exactly how I can help. So I'm excited about that.
Your commitment to this kind of a company is a positive sign for something that came up downstairs earlier. They were talking. Albert Wenger was talking about benefit corporations, but the idea that business really has a deeper potential role and can be conceptualized explicitly to achieve deeper roles. And thank you for making that commitment. Thank you for speaking up here.
Super.
We've run out of time. Thank you all. Congrats, Jimmy, and look forward to seeing what happens next.
Great. David, great as always.